quick intro into this. We're cutting with the Drift today, the original Drift. There's a couple versions of it now. This is the original one, but it's an updated color. This is now offered in kind of it's like a dark brownish, really nice color. Textured titanium, smooth titanium on the lock side, Van X blade steel. This knife is completely and totally corrosion proof, rust proof. You can play with it in the rain, whatever you want to do. Great choke up spot, great sharpening choil. It's a very thin, just super easy to carry knife. Wire clip that works really well. Thumb stud only on washers. And yeah, I freaking love this thing. Let's go see how it cuts. And here we go. Cutting with the Quiet Carry Drift. I'm not going to do that the whole time. Quiet Carry Drift, Van X blade steel. Nice factory edge. It came ridiculously sharp, but I've been using it a little bit before I did this test, so it's not quite as sharp anymore. But I strapped it up nicely. It's cutting paper very well. And I'm excited to see what this thing can do. We're looking at very thin blade stock, even a little bit thinner than TRM's. There's no way this thing isn't going to slice good. No possible way. Starting with regular cardboard, regular thickness. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Insane. I'm holding the knife in the choked up position, so my finger's in that choil, preventing the cardboard from slipping in the choil there and getting snagged. It works perfectly. Let's try the thick stuff, the double-walled cardboard. I slipped out a little there. It's kind of a big piece. I'm trying to hold it right. It's slicing through pretty well. I think I start having some problems here with this this double-walled cardboard, and I think there's a few factors here. Number one is the blade shape. There's not a lot of just straight edge. There's not a lot of edge, and there's not a lot of just straight edge. So it's like continuous belly almost. So it's a little easier to slip out of your cut because of that. Secondly, with this really thick cardboard, you really have to grip the knife hard and push real hard to get through it. And because the knife is so streamlined and thin, you just don't have a really great solid grip on it. It's just, it's thin. But, this is a very slicey knife, as you saw. Just with that double thickness stuff, it was a little more difficult. Utility cutting. You're raising up to get to the tip, but not awfully high. And once you're up there, it does pretty well. As I always say, this is, if I had to cut 100 yards of cardboard doing this style cut, utility cutting, I wouldn't grab this knife. I'd grab a Wharncliffe or sheep's foot, but as an everyday carrying knife, you're not probably having to do a whole lot of this kind of cutting, and if you do, you'll be totally fine. The glove, let's get out the leather. No life till leather. If somebody can get that reference, you get a gold star. No life till leather. This is the perfect blade shape for this kind of thing. It was so satisfying, man. It's just, this is what you want the belly for. It's so nice. The last couple tests have been with a Tonto and some Wharncliffes and sheep's foots, and it's nice to it's just nice to cut with something like this for a change. You kind of start toward the tip and you just rock back on that belly, and it creates like a scissors motion between the blade and the surface. It's just great. some thick rubber tubing here. Let's just try cutting it straight up like a carrot or something. Because this is thin blade stock, it shouldn't really be much of a problem. And it is not. Very nice. And the next one, let's try piercing it with the tip first, and then rotating around. This didn't work quite as well, but still pretty well. It's such thin blade stock that it's not creating, too much friction in there to pass through the rubber. With something with thick blade stock, you really can't cut this like you would a cucumber. It's just like forcing an axe through, some rubber hose. Next, what do we got? Cecil rope? Cecil rope. There we go. Again, perfect blade shape for this kind of stuff. Look at that. Just very nice. Oh yeah. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to cut with this thing. Dominating the Cecil rope without issue. Clean cuts. Very nice. What's next? The strap. So I don't have high expectations for this knife and the strap because of kind of what I said earlier, where there's not a whole lot of just straight edge there, and it's not much of an edge lengthwise. And I feel like we're going to slip out of our cut before we get very far, but let's find out here. Yep, about halfway, so not horrible. But yeah, you just, you slip out of the cut before really it has a chance to get too far. That's why Warren Cliffs are usually the best for this. But we're going to do our 3 cuts as usual. It'll just take, I think, 2 cuts per. There's 1. There's 2, and actually a little bit of a 3rd. There we go. And since I do not have zip ties to do the zip tie test, we are going to cut up some fireman's hose. Check this out. This is kind of a thick nylon weave over rubber. And it seems to be a real good test on knives to, probably mostly, edge retention type test. This is pretty abrasive stuff. But also, something with nice thin blade stock like this will pass through it easier than something with thicker geometry. So this passed through really nicely. Very nice. Let's cut a few on the cutting board. Even something this wide is easy to cut with this knife. That was kind of fun. All right, and I think that's it. Let's see what our edge retention is like. And here we go. All right, cool. Definitely a little bit of a rougher cut. And if you go slow, you can feel a couple spots where it kind of doesn't want to cut as well. But overall, I think this Van X held up very nicely. Let's give it a quick strop. Yeah, you know, edge retention is not Van X's strongest suit. It is stainlessness. You know, corrosion resistant is its strong suit, but it holds it'll hold a good edge too. Just it's not its specialty. But you know, judging from this test, this type of edge retention is perfectly good for me. To be able to go through that test and then still cut paper that's a pass. That's good. And after a little strop, we are very nice and sharp again. Not quite as sharp as before we started. I think it just needs a couple more passes on the strop and then it would be there. But feels sticky. We are good to go. I really like this knife. It's kind of, in my mind, in direct competition with things like the TRM Neutron 2 is very similar. The Native 5 a little bit. I think I actually like the blade shape on the Native 5 a little more than this. It's a lower tip on that knife. But similar knives still. This is great. And the fact that it cannot rust is really cool. Just for those, really rainy days where I'm working outside and have this in my pocket and just not even have to think about it. Not even have to worry about keeping it dry or anything like that. When I go magnet fishing, this is the knife I take with me. That's it, folks. Please like the video before you head out. I'd appreciate it. And make sure to subscribe if you're not already. I love you very much. Goodbye.